Evening, all you dirt hogs and rippers. Welcome to another Dirty Talk live show. It's going to be a good one tonight. I got a feeling we've just been having a little bit of banter already in the green room. But before I bring on our guest, I just want a big shout out to Bell, obviously, who are getting behind us with this, FXR, and of course, Doc Wobb, who has got behind what we're doing at Dirt Hub. So listen, I'm not going to waste any time because our first guest is actually sat in a physio's waiting room, ready to patch up some damage. Let's bring him on. Dino Wilson, here he should be. Dean, how goes it?
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on, mate. I know you've been exceptionally busy, and you have, because we've been trying to get this going for quite a while. But of course, you're racing AMA Supercross, and that takes up a lot of time. Tell us how it's gone for you this year, you know, trying to sum it up with one round to go. You've had some good races, some bad, and you've definitely been involved in some controversy, which you kind of just brushed off. So tell us about that.
Oh, man, it's been a up and down season for sure. It's, for one, it's just such a, high level class and so many good riders, and it's just a stacked field. So, yeah, it's been tough. After the third round, I broke my toe. And I had to miss 3 races, so that was a bit of a shame. And then raced with my toe broken for a good probably 5-6 races, and then now I'm starting to feel pretty good. But it's tough. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're in the top 10, you're in the mix pretty good. It's just comes down to a start. So I need to get that start, and battle up front is the goal always. But with my starts, it's just been outside the top 10, then I make way into the tail end of the top 10. So nothing amazing, but doing my best,
Yeah. Listen, we've already got quite a few viewers coming in. Don't be shy in asking myself, Dino, or Dave King, who's coming on later, any questions. All you got to do is punch them in on the Facebook or YouTube comments. They pop up on the screen here and we can see them. Dino, tell me this. Is this season of Supercross a kind of simple yes or no answer, really? Do you reckon it's been one of the toughest ever regards of the depth of class running at the sharp end?
Yeah, I would say so. When you go back to round 1, I got 11th. And Cooper was 2 spots ahead of me the whole race. And then Tomac was behind me the whole race. He got 12th or something. And I think I might have got 12th, but I can't remember. But it was so stacked. From 1st to 17th was all really, really good riders. And then, it's been like that. And then someone will get hurt, and then someone will be coming back from an injury. So it's like kind of like you'll lose a rider, then you'll gain a rider coming back from an injury. So it's just there's the level is so high right now. It's pretty crazy.
What about coming into it then? Was you feeling good about it? I mean, again, you've always had to, last few years, I wouldn't say prove your worth, but factory rides are hard to get, and you're still in there picking up a factory ride, digging deep. Like you just said before we come on air, you're not getting any younger, but people know what you're capable of. You know what you're capable of. You've won a national championship after all. How hard is it to just keep beating away at trying to pick up those good rides? Results obviously are key, but it can't be easy.
Oh, it's never easy, and it gets harder every single year. The young guys come up and they're fast, and the class just keeps getting harder, and there's just more talent coming to the class which are taking the rides. So it's tough, but I just do my best every time. Obviously the season's not really went how I wanted it to go, but I just keep trying every weekend to get better, and that's all you can do. And, last year I at least got a podium at the last race, which was cool. So that's always kind of my goal, is to be up front. I literally passed Marvin last race and got 8th. He got 9th, and then he just won this past weekend. So it gives you that sense of like, I can be up there. I ride with those guys during the week, and I'm close. I'm right there. Just during race day, my start's just killing me. So yeah, it's tough. Every year it gets tougher.
Yeah. But I mean, so with that then, with that in mind, have you ever had moments? I think you have, because obviously loads of us in the UK now. You're an adopted Brit. Well, you're born in Scotland, so effectively you are British. But since you kind of defected from Canada and raced for the the nations for Britain, have a lot more fans over here. With that in mind, and seeing your social media, you always seem so upbeat, and having a good time with it. But obviously, there must have been some serious low points. But from working your way up to the top, have you got to go for your physio?
No, that's Dr. G here, right here.
Hi, there's Dr. G.
That's Mr. Magic Hands.
Right. So what? Never mind that other question. Let's talk about that. So what are you in for today? Another pro rider patch up? What you haven't done?
In qualifying at Salt Lake, I posted it on my story. I was rolling the track, about to do a fast lap, and Chase Sexton came by and went double quad in this rhythm. So I was like, oh, I'm going to give that a go. So the next lap, I went to try it, and I posted it on my story. But I doubled, and I went to quad, and I just got no lift off and cased it, and I bruised my heel. So I could barely walk on it. And sorry, the echo here is weird. But
yeah, sorry about
that. I could barely walk on my heel. So, I just came up here to get it worked on and use the machines and get it back to form for the weekend.
Is that something then, going back to the Supercross then, do you feel that you've had to kind of push the envelope a little bit more? You said you had to you tried it because somebody else did. Is that a case of like, you're now getting to a point, it's so competitive in that class, you've got to do certain things to just to be in the mix?
Yeah, I think I'm usually pretty good at jumping stuff or, like rhythms. I got good timing, and I'm usually one of the first to hit like a quad or something like that. But this one, I just never had the power for some reason. I couldn't get over it. But yeah, it hurt for sure.
I'm sure it did. So tell us where you are at the minute. You're in California at the minute, but you kind of split from one side of the country to the other. I mean, you've got a base in both, really, haven't you? I suppose you have to be. Where's the team based these days?
So the team's based in Murrieta, California. I'm training at the Baker's factory, which is in Florida, but I've also lived in Florida for the past 7 or 8 years. But I go back and forth a lot. I pretty much live in California and Florida. So reason being is obviously the team's based in California. All the tracks are here. There's a lot of West Coast races. So we're here for that time, to test with the team and stuff like that. But then we do a lot of our hard training in Florida, and a lot of races are on the East Coast as well. So if you stay on the West Coast and you're racing on the East Coast and you're flying back, it really wears you out because it's a lot of flying, and it really cuts the travel time down when you can have a place on each coast.
Yeah, and a base, yeah. We've got, I think you're being stalked by a guy called Trevor Stewart. Do you know a Trevor Stewart? Because he is. Do you know him?
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Trevor's one of my good friends. He's
right. Well, Trev, by the way, other people watching, and there's a fair few who are watching, don't be shy in asking Dino comments and getting some stacked up for Dave King as well. But Trevor, you have got to take the biscuit as the most questions asked in a short period of time. You're just throwing about 6 questions out to Dino.
Oh, man.
He's basically saying he's got a question for Dino. Wheel spin, yurt. Would you be interested in...
I set my head off.
So, what does that mean? That's a private joke, but either way, it seems quite funny. It tickled you. He also said, would you be interested in quad racing? So what's all this about, Dino? Can you even tell us? I mean, because I know sometimes stuff private.
Yeah, well, this one's a bit of a secret matter. I'm planning on retiring in a couple years, and then I have...
I can just see Dave down in the corner.
This is newly announced, but I'm actually going to be racing quads after my career.
Is that right? Because some people have gone to 4 wheels. Obviously, quite a few. Ricky did it. Ricky Johnson, Ricky Carmichael. Not quads as such, but he wants you to throw some big whips, and he says he's a big fan. So
no, I'm just joking. I'm not going to quads. But those sidecars, me and Trevor could race those sidecars where the guy holds on to the side and then the one's riding them. That's big over there.
Okay, you might say that. I wouldn't commit to that. I've committed to that with several people. I haven't got around to doing it yet.
Oh, man.
I'm sure. I know you've got friends that are mental. I haven't spent much time with you, but I've spent enough time with you to know that you're not far off of being mental.
Yeah.
Mickey Carter's wedding was a high point.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not going quad racing or cyclo racing or anything like that.
No.
But obviously, as a pro racer, are you thinking you still got loads to do? I get that, but you're pushing on. We all do that. Everybody gets old. Do you have like a contingency plan, or are you just not thinking about that? You're just still going to get your head down, try and keep that factory ride, and absolutely rip it at the outdoor.
Yeah, I mean, my plan is to be racing till 2023 will probably be my last season. Just kind of took a lot of beating over the years, and it's more my knees. I've had a really bad knee injury that I deal with every single day, and it's kind of just frustrating, and I can't really ride up my full potential with it. So it's just, yeah. I mean, I'm on my 12th season as a pro, so it's been good.
That's a lot.
And yeah, I just want to give it my absolute all for till that time, and we'll see what happens.
What age will that take you up to, Dean?
So I think that'd be 31.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's still great compared to some of the others that have, Villapoto got out at quite early, Ricky and all that. Like I said, it's great when you get to the top and it's rewarding and all that. But my God, professional sport is bad enough at the best of times. But let's be honest, Supercross and motocross just about nails you, doesn't it? At some point, it's all going to catch up with you in the end.
We're pretty much 10 years older than what we really are for the beating we take. We have so many aches and pains, but this is so important. If I could tell the kids, man, or anyone, is just being healthy is so important. I never wanted to be a rider that always got injured or had unfortunate injuries, but it's part of the sport. But it really dinged my career because I don't feel like I could ride at my full potential because I was always protecting my body.
Yeah. I mean, I rode for 30 odd years. I've said this before, and I didn't even really get injured at all. I didn't even break any bones, mainly because I didn't take the risk that you lot do or ride as fast. But mate, I feel it badly now. So just to give you a precursor, you need to be visiting this guy more than once a week, I reckon, well after racing.
It's important to come see G and look after your body and stretch and do all the right things, because feeling it a little bit more these days for sure.
Yeah. Well, Sonny's just pulled this up. Sonny Leonti, their champs still race at 36, so he reckons you're going to run to 2028. Ed Warren,
about Scott champion.
Is that what he is? Come back to motherland. You can come back to motherland. I'm sure Stu Flockard will hook you up, and you can come and do it. You can still go out on a high and be Scottish champion.
Scottish champ. I should do that, because you know what?
You should.
I've never been a Scottish champ, so I should do that.
Well, it is the country of your birth, so I think you should at least do that. The old man would be proud of that as well. Ed Warren is basically saying, where you can see what he's coming up with. Ed jumping in on it.
I see that. He's trying to steal your glory off the podcast, is what he's trying to do.
Yeah. Well, Ed's a magpie. That's it. He won't mind that. So listen, outdoors then. I mean, you've got one more Supercross to go. How was it at Salt Lake City? Regards of, do you notice the altitude? Because we hear Ricky and Daniel Blair talk about it, and everybody. I've never raced at altitude. Is it really that much worse? Can you tell? Massively.
Really? It's that for one, the bikes are a lot slower. There's not a lot of power out of the bikes, and then breathing. Halfway through the main event, you're breathing pretty hard, so you can definitely feel it. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's pretty high there, and with Supercross, it's such a high intensity, racing, because all the obstacles and you're breathing so heavy, you really feel it there. Yeah.
Well, so obviously you'd love to finish on a podium. Like you said, it's doable. Of course it is. Like you said, you've been racing with guys and lap times not too dissimilar. And then Marv just put it on top of the box and you were riding with him, like you said, the week or so before. So, but I'm guessing whatever happens, you want to finish healthy the Supercross season and get a good run on the outdoors. So we know you can win outdoor titles. You've done it before, admittedly in the 250 class. 450 is a little bit of a harder nut to crack, but outdoor, you've got the raw speed out for. How are you feeling about that? Are you excited about the outdoor coming up?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. A lot of the years I just haven't had the prep going into it, because when I would be riding really well in Supercross, I would get an injury and I'd miss the first 5 races. So my plan is just to do some testing here in California after the Supercross and just really get comfy on my bike and do as much testing as I can and just be the most prepared I can. So, I'll be honest, I'm probably not a title contender. But if I can, crack in, the top 5, top 10s, I know people are looking at me like, oh, you're on a factory team. That's, not what you should be getting. But that's realistic for me. And that's where I feel like I can be. The more I'm in that top 5, that's really good for me. So it's going to be another tough go. Outdoors is a different animal. Supercross is one thing, but outdoors, it's a man sport for sure.
Yeah, I love Supercross, don't get me wrong, but I'm just a bit old school purist. So the AMA outdoor is still what I prefer over the Supercross. I don't know. It's just, the race, it's just better to watch for me and whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So gnarly. Yeah, that's just because of age. Youngsters are probably more into the Supercross. Me and Dave are more who's coming on.
No, outdoors is good. It's good to watch.
Yeah. So you're looking for a good run on that, obviously. Talking of outdoors, you've like I said, ridden for the British team a couple of times. We'll get on to talking about the motocross nations in a minute. Us Brits, you are now an honorary Brit. You're born in Scotland. You kind of come along on the radar a little bit after. Many people knew that until you went from Canada to America and then obviously won a title. Then, of course, like Brits do, we're like, oh, we're inherit him. Yeah, he's born in Britain. And then you made the choice to ride for the British team. What's it like then? So now we've got Max racing the championship as well. Do you notice the support from the UK? I mean, obviously you welcome it. It was shown when I think you were at, now let me get this right, I might be wrong. Which nations was it where we had all the guys in the Union Jack suits and they were going mad? I can't remember which one that was.
It could have been Ernie.
It was Ernie. It's France.
Latvia. Every destination.
No,
they're good.
It was Ernie, I think, where you first experienced it, and I seem to remember. I won't actually recite the exact words you said to me at the time because I did a bit of filming with you at the time. But it began with an F and ended with me, and you were like, I cannot believe the amount of support. These guys are nuts. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a big thing. So would you? Obviously, you'd love to ride if you could get good enough. And Mark looked at you, Mark Chamberlain. You'd jump at that, I guess.
Oh, definitely. Designations is something just I'm proud to be part of, and it's just an event that you can look back in your career and be like, man, that was cool. Getting to race Matt Relay was one of the coolest experiences, and the fans and just the overall experience was amazing. And getting on the podium, and Max just did so well for us, and Tommy did too. But it was the whole experience was so cool, and it was pretty cool to experience that.
Was you I'll just sign off. I won't hold you much longer because I know you got to go and have your body looked at by your physio. So with the whole thing, and working with Max and Tommy and that lot, is that something that you said you're going to end your career or you've got earmarked kind of thing? And the reason I asked that is because Joshua Johnson has come in and sort of said that. Would you consider doing the opposite to Antsy and do a season MXGP? Has that ever crossed your mind? Have you ever had any offers?
No, I think that ship sailed for me. I'm just so based here, and I'm almost 30 years old, and I really just don't feel like I could go over there and really be where I'd want to be if I went over there. So yeah, I think I'm set here. If I was to do that, I feel like I'd have to do that in my early 20s, just because, man, I just give those guys so much respect, because you see them riding, at Lomo, and it's snowing and they're wearing jackets, and we're here in sunny California. It's like they're just so tough over there. Honestly, I give them a lot of respect. It's tough to do it in those conditions, and the deep sand and the mud, and yeah,
I can tell.
Be on my calendar anytime soon.
Dean Wilson, I can tell you moved away from Scotland at a young age for you to be saying that. That's not what a Scot that's been hardened.
Oh no, I'm pretty Californian now.
Talking about the nations, just signing off. Have you had any at the time? I know like Steve Mathers jokes and pulls your leg about it, but obviously him being Canadian or whatever. Did you get any like serious kickback about that when you kind of started riding for Team GB? Did you upset a few people?
I did at first. I lived in Canada and really have a lot of great family friends, and Canada was, pretty much my home for six years, and I loved living there, and I raced designations for them. Before I even turned pro, that was 2009 at that LA designations. So, anyways, yeah, I think they were just disappointed to lose me, and it kind of sucked just because they were pretty disappointed with my move going to Team GB. But that's where I was born, and that's where I grew up, and I lived there till I was, 8.5, 9 years old, and then I moved to Canada. But I really call them both my home. Like, I love Canada, I love going back there, but I think just the diehard fans feel like I kind of turned my back on them. Which I didn't. I have two passports. My first ever passport was a British passport. I was born in Glasgow, and then I have a Canadian passport. I don't even have an American one. So, I think we've buffed it out now, and the Canadian fans hopefully still support me. But at first it was a bit of backlash for sure.
I didn't know you were born in Glasgow. Okay, look, to sign off, because you've got stuff to do. Before you do, though, I'm going to bring in very quickly Dave King for a chat, because basically, I'll warn you now, he is now, in the next 5 minutes, going to try to convince you as much as he can that when you quit racing, I'm just teeing you up for this, to come and ride the Vets Motocross Nation. So here you are, Dave King. Here's your chance to get into Dino to try and get him to come to the Vets Motocross Nation.
Dean realizes the power of social media, and you've only got to look at Tommy's recent posts on the two-stroke bike and riding the 125 to see people like to see that type of stuff. So
no, they do.
I want to see you on it. You're not going to find a decent 125 Husky that's going to survive you riding it. So you're going to have to find yourself something else. But I want to see a video of you in the next 6 months riding an old 125 two-stroke.
An old Bill Taco.
They didn't make one. Well, no, yes, they did. But anyway, 2 years' time, you'll be old enough. When you retire, it'll be straight into Farley, because our age limit, our lower age limit.
I'm ready. What kind of bike we getting on?
You tell me, and I'll find it.
Okay.
Well, Wobbs,
because
Wobbs,
at Farley, you do race old bikes, right? Or is there actual up-to-date bikes you race?
No. The newest bike you will find there is a 1996, but that is still a very, very competitive bike.
Yeah, Langston's told me some cool stories from Farley Castle.
Yeah,
he had muddy, but he says he was feeling a bit unwell while he was racing as well.
Yeah, the beer tent is legendary. Yeah.
Oh man,
you'd love it. And put it this way,
bring your dad. Your dad would like it.
Oh well, definitely. That'll be a fun trip.
Dino, I'll tell you right now, you wouldn't have to buy a drink all weekend. That's the first hook in. So you don't worry about bringing your wallet. Somebody will buy you a drink.
Yeah.
It's
well worth a visit. And anyway,
we got Tommy racing it this year or what?
We'll come on to that in a minute.
Oh, exclusive. All right, sounds like a deal might have been hatched. I like that.
There we go. We need to get a few of them. You need to get several. Well, Tommy and all of them.
You could ride for a Team Scotland and nothing to. Hang on a minute. No. Yes. No.
I'll get Bunga.
Bunga. By then, hopefully you'll be old enough.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Well, of course he's old enough. He did that the grandpa thing when he dressed up as a grandpa. Just do that again.
Absolutely.
Grandpa Errol shows up. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, look, Dino, we won't hold you up any further. It's great to finally get you on the show. I would love to catch up with you again once the outdoor season's done. I plan to come over to California in the winter anyway, hang out with Mickey and whatever. So the chances are I'll be catching up with you then. Maybe go for a spin. You go and get your foot looked at. And we wish you all the best for the last round, Salt Lake City, and the outdoor season ahead. Really appreciate you coming on, Dino. Nice one.
No worries.
Yeah, good luck.
So there you go. Good luck, Dean. There you go. That's Dino out of there. Dave, welcome to the show. Finally got you on. It seemed a good time to get you on because obviously there I was after a nice day out at Swanage. I had a weekend off. And I come back like you do and have a little bit of a look on social media, and then I see your comment and thinking, oh dear, okay, you've only just found that out. So obviously
I'm a bit slow in that department. I thought I was on top of it, but obviously not.
So you've announced a long time ago, obviously, that the Vets Motocross Nations, it's been postponed a couple of times or whatever because of COVID, but you want to try and get it back on for 2021. We appreciate it's turned into, arguably after the GP, the biggest event, in the UK, motocross event that is. So you've created a monster, which quite rightly, you've worked really hard at it. But now we've got a date clash, not just with you. There's a load of date clashes with varying championships this year, but obviously your one is a little bit more precarious because it clashes with a Revo British Championship round, and you're both running under the ACU. So what's gone on there? How are you going to address that? Are you going to be able to change a date? What's going to happen there?
The date would definitely not be changed by us. No. And I'll just start off by saying this is not a Gareth Hockey or an ACU bashing exercise by me. I just want people to see it from my point of view on, why I'm a bit peeved that there's an event. So, a big event, because it will be a big event on the same weekend. So I'm not going to go at Gareth. I like Gareth a lot. I very often comment on his social media and back him up with trolls that try and knock him down all the time. Gareth's a good guy, don't get me wrong, but I think the decision is not a good one.
Yeah, I think we always come across it. It's difficult because we're all in this tight group together. And again, I've had to say that several times. I don't mind admitting I get pulled up on it. It's like anti-ACU and that. It's not. We all want the sport in the UK to succeed, but clearly something isn't working at the minute. We're just not organised as I know we're trying to condense a season, what would normally be stretched out over, 8 months or whatever, trying to condense it all in. But still, is it open dialogue? Is everybody actually picking up the phone and talking to each other? Or are they just getting it out there on social media and you find out that way? I mean, how did you find out?
Yeah. By a text message to somebody very well known within the sport, who just happened to flippantly remark about the event, because my understanding was the MX Nationals was clashing with us, and I'd spoken to Paul Irwin maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago to ask him if he was going to change his date, and he said no, which is fair enough. They're not an ACU event. It's a free world. They can do what they like. So, I can live with that. But then when I find out it's actually, the British Championship, an ACU British Championship, it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
And, there's lots of different things. I think I know Gareth's in an absolute predicament with this Grand Prix thing, but my view on the Grand Prix thing is it's totally irrelevant now. To set your dates by the Grand Prix is just bloody ludicrous. That was 20 years ago, not now. It doesn't make sense. Pick the best dates for yourself.
Absolutely.
Not let somebody else have the best dates first. What sort of business sense is that?
Well, that's the argument, isn't it? A lot of people would say now you're catering a whole season around a few GP riders and a handful of EMX riders. So Gareth even said himself on a video, and he's come up, maybe it's time that the British just runs on its own dates, and you're either a GP rider or an EMX rider, or you're not, and then we can have fluidity and basically get the calendar all sorted out. So you're agreeing with that, basically. It's just like it's time. It's time.
Forget about the Grand Prix. They're totally irrelevant to 99.9% of I would say, motocross fans these days. They might watch it, but it makes no difference to their their day-to-day life or, the way they go about do their racing. Let Gareth, who's now running it, or let him pick the very best dates you can have. Bank holiday weekends.
Yeah.
Make the absolute most of everything. Not let somebody in some far-flung country dictate to you when you're going to run your events. It's just madness.
And of course, the other thing that's changed is the grading list. Now, previously, you didn't want to clash because you had to work your way up to a position, as did I did, and many others before me. You know, you had to get in the top 10, top 8 to even be selected to go and do GPs. But now, so then you didn't want them clashing with GPs, obviously, for that very reason. But now it's not like that. You're either a top end rider that gets picked up, or you invest the money into a team and get a ride that way. So I mean, realistically, when you say
invest the money into a team, you mean buy a ride?
Yes, I was being diplomatic, but you know, you're being a bit more black and white, which is quite nice. What I'm saying is, like, previously you'd go and do that, and you could work your way up, as you know, but they couldn't clash because you had to work to a system to do that. So straight away, like now, like you just said, does it even justify having them together? The answer is no. It is time for, I think, as Gareth said himself and many others, that the British Championship just stands alone, like they used to do, or have done with the British Superbike to good effect, and a few others. I think it's time that, otherwise we're just going to keep getting these horrendous date clashes.
It upsets everybody. It's no good. You need to have a fixed set of dates in maybe late September or October, and that's it. Everybody works to it.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the other thing. You could argue, and many do, we got too many championships going on for British Motocross.
Totally.
Which we do. You know, you could argue that. There's obviously the Revo ACU British Championship. There's the Bridgestone Masters. There's the Michelin MX Nationals. I'm just looking at the list down here in front of me. And you've got the Acerbis. I guess the Acerbis don't really have what we call these days pro riders. A lot of them, there's only a handful that are actually full-time pros, but they don't really go to that.
At least that event does exactly what it says it is. It's an amateur. It doesn't pretend to be anything else, does it? Which is why it's been so successful.
No, I totally agree. And they cater for, like I said, the amateurs and whatever. And it's Darren and his team does an amazing job, no doubt. I'm looking at the calendars I've written down, and I don't even know this is right. I did this tonight and looked at all the other sites and just hope all the dates are right. By the way, the Michelin MX National dates have just gone live tonight. So that's why this was all I've had to rewrite the calendar in front of me. I'm looking at it, and by my reckoning, I've worked out that there's 6 major date event clashes throughout the year. Big ones. You know, you've got the first major one, of course, is you've got the British Championship, Revo British Championship clashing with a service round. Then the first big one where the pros, it could be really problematic for the pro teams, is you've got the Revo ACU British Championship at round 4 at Fox Hill. No, not that one. The MX Nationals at Hawkstone on the 19th and 20th of June, clashing with round 5 of the Revo British Championship at Desert Martin. And there's 2 clashes like that. There's also another one on the 28th and 29th of August at Cusses and Duns. So, look, again, we're not me and Dave, by the way, just incidentally, are not singling out pointing fingers at everybody. As you said, you speak to Gareth a lot. I've regularly spoke to him and offered my opinion and done that as much as I've done with Paul and Neil Irwin. Obviously, the Bridgestone does what it does. We just don't want major date clashes, and something's got to be done about it, isn't it?
I mean, one thing that does seem slightly strange to me, looking at the British the official ACU British dates, is it finishes so early.
Yeah,
September and October over the last 10 years have been the 2 best months to run events.
Absolutely, the weather's changed,
and you're finishing on the second weekend in September. What's that all about?
Well, do you think that's because there's a lot of GPs, and again, Gareth, trying to avoid clashing with GPs, which I kind of get for those few, but it's time to change that. If you look at the GP calendar, there's just a GP every weekend from the beginning of October right through to the first weekend of December.
Is it December?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. In that far-flung hotbed of motocross, it's right out in Asia somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically, again, by trying to do the right thing through the ACU and being FIM affiliated and not clash with a GP, Gareth effectively, as it stands, and the Revo ACU British Championship don't want to clash with GPs. So, but in front of taking all those dates, what's he going to do? That's probably why he's trying to wrap it up early.
I'm sure that unfortunately, I'm sure that any organizer who takes on the British Championship will have to leave those MXGP dates free, because I'm sure there's something in the FIM. I bet there's some unwritten rule, or maybe a written rule that if you're like the ACU is to the FIM, that they have to leave those dates free. There must be some sort of agreement like that. So going forward, I don't really see it changing anyway.
No, Gareth said he's not going to change his dates again. And we keep mentioning Gareth just because this is why he has to try and work with the FIM. Again, not singling Gareth out. It's different for him than it is the other series that just tried to avoid clashing with other UK series. Gareth had 20 GPs at present to try and not clash with. Going forward, he said he might have to change that going into 2022. And if it carries on like this, it's a smart move. Gareth, obviously, if you are watching at some point, it would be great to get you back on the show and discuss it once all the dates have been completely confirmed and see where we're going with it. Because it's just not helping. And going back to the event that you run, the Vets Motocross Nation, arguably a very different event, but it's not, is it?
It's not. It's totally not. That spectators, we will share spectators, we will share marshals, we will share sponsors, and we will share riders. That's pretty much all of it covered. Yeah. So, it makes my job. Just makes my job harder, and it just makes no sense. The worrying thing, it sort of sets a precedent, really, because say somebody else comes along with an idea for an event, and they use the ACU for their insurance, and it grows and it becomes a big success, and then they go then another big event under the same insurance banner gets plopped on that same date. What confidence is there in an organizer going there knowing that might happen? You want some sort of backup that people are going to work with you to try and avoid those. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I suppose look, every community has to have politics. Politics is a way of life. It is part of it. You can't avoid it. Obviously, in the UK, what are we up to now? Like 67 million people, nearly 70 million people, whatever it is. Politics are going to play a massive part as in a democracy and that many people. Obviously, you're not. But in our industry, it's not 70 million. It's much smaller. So as much as politics play a part, surely we shouldn't be letting politics get in the way so much when we've got a much smaller community than the general society. That's my take on it. It's just like you said, why still aren't every organizer of every major national event sitting down? I know COVID's plays its part that we can't go out and meet anybody over this last year, but really, should there not have been like a Zoom meeting with every organizer of every event way in advance before the calendars go, and constant ones, rather than just finding out on social media who's doing what? It seems absurd to me.
Yeah, no, totally. So going back to your event, you've just touched on it when Dean was on. You said about potentially you'd be something with Tommy Searle. So right now, though, Tommy, if these dates clash, well, surely DT's not going to be wanting him tearing around on a Evo bike at your event. He's got a British Championship to go for. Yeah, exactly. He's paid to do a job by Dave. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
But I've seen those social media posts, and you must have seen it. And when that guy got off that bike, that 125, you could just tell that, for want of a better word, the joy on his face and the way he was talking, he sounded like a little kid, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I know he'd love to come to the event, but obviously with a date clash, you can't. But I know Tommy is not a veteran rider, but it just brings a different angle to, we brought in young guys before that are riding currently in British Championship, Brad Anderson.
Yeah.
And
that race between Brad Anderson and Todd Kellett, one of the best races I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just different, something different in it for people to watch, and than the same old stuff.
Yeah. I'm just looking at, so Adrian Squirrel has come on and says, why has the MX Nationals round at Cusses changed from previous date when it didn't clash with any other event? Adrian, you're going to have to contact them about that. As much as I work the events and do the commentary and whatever, I'm not part of that decision making or that process. I guess, again, it's been moved because it was clashing with something else. And then I don't know to fit it all in, but there you go. You have to contact those guys about that. As I said, the current major date clashes, before I really get into talking about your event, Dave, are this, by my reckoning. I hope it's not wrong. I've had to quickly write this out just before the show. So we've got the 6th of May. There's a Revo British Championship clashing with the service. On the 12th and 13th of June, there's round 4 of the British Championship at Foxhill clashing with the Bridgestone at Roxton. I hope I've got that right. The first big one, said that the 19th and 20th is the MX Nationals at Hawkstone, and round 5 of the British Championship at Desert Martin. There's another date clash on the 24th and 5th of July. MX Nationals go with the service. We've kind of touched on the service. Darren, like I said, it's a different thing. They don't have pros at it, but still, it would be nice if it was avoidable. But it's obviously difficult this year with the condensed season. Then you've got another date clash on the 28th and 29th of August. You've got the MX Nationals final round at Cusses, alongside the Revo British Championship round 7 at Duns. And then the one that obviously has got your backup is the final British Championship round clashing with the Vets Motocross Nations. So
is there anything the week after us, Jeff? Is there?
Do you know what? I'm going to be bold enough to have a look on my calendar while I talk to you. There's a Bridgestone, if I've got this right, at Pontrellis. That's it, on the 18th and 19th. Then it's the Motocross of Nations the following weekend.
Right.
With a load of GPs to follow that. I'm only assuming Gareth is still keen to run Western Beach Race on the 2nd and 3rd of October, tides permitting and all that. So yeah. So that's where we're at with it all. You're adamant. You've said that, you can't change. You've got a lot of planning with it. So
our date's never changed. Our date was, we announced our date in June 2020 when we had to postpone the 2020 event. So yeah. No, our date it will not change.
So apart from this, so you're not the only one affected by date change. I think every national series is got an issue with this, and like I said, that's why it needs to be addressed going forward. Hopefully next year won't have the COVID restrictions, and the season will be starting in March, longer stretched out. But either way, it needs to be addressed. Your event then, entries, are they open? Are they a roll on from the year before? What's happening with the entries?
it's just rolled over, Jeff, from last year. So it's all done, already. Yeah.
I mean, you never struggle with it. I mean, you've built, like I said, kudos to you. You've the vision and what you've built it into. I know you're busy, you're flat out and hectic at all these events, but you must have, goosebump moments as you bomb around on your on your gator. You must stand there or sit there a few times and go, God, bloody hell, look what we've done, because it is an amazing event. I mean, it really is, isn't it?
I suppose my most exciting time is like on that Thursday at 12 o'clock when everybody's queued up and ready to come in, because then we can have another good one. And I hope long may that continue. God forbid COVID and bloody Brexit gets in the way of that, because there's another issue.
Yeah, of course, you've got all that. So how's that bit? I mean, you delayed it, you postponed it a couple of times. How's that looking at the moment? I suppose you're powerless. You just got to do whatever the government guidelines are at the time, but you must be constantly monitoring the situation with travel.
With COVID or Brexit?
Well, we're just with the travel restrictions. How is it with some of the foreign teams? Have they been in touch with you?
You're just going to have to wait and see. But, at the moment, we had a meeting last week and, we're planning to run a full event.
All I like. And a full beer tent as well. All with our masks on. But we're not allowed to be in the tent. We've all got to be outside this time.
It'll be different for sure. But you just got to make the best of what you got.
Yeah. Well, get some patio heaters on the go or something. It gets chilly out there when all that alcohol starts going through my system. So you're doing that, as I said, did you, when you started it, have you had to pinch yourself? You know, I know, you know, you live down the road from me, not too far. Used to get up at Camford Heath, watch the likes of Jeremy and Magoo and all that. And you've been going to GPs, you know, like Mellor, Thorpe and all that. Have you had that moment with it all where you're just like, even though you visualized it, did you ever sort of go, this has turned into way more than what I expected to meet all those legends?
Yeah, it has turned into way more than I ever expected. Absolutely. I think when we first started it, we gave it 5 years. Well, we're 11 years down the road, and it's just, you know, gone crazy. So, yeah, just want to get, you know, this having to postpone it is not good for anybody. And you know, because it sort of loses its momentum, you know, people don't chat about it so much. So I'm just hoping, you know, that the world does, you know, get back to some sort of normality pretty swiftly. So otherwise we're all going to be in the shit.
Yeah, we are. So between now and the event, I guess you're going to start ramping up the social media, announcing riders that I'm not expecting an exclusive or scoop now, but obviously you've had some major names come over, and I guess as we get near the time, they'll be firmed up, and we're looking good, hopefully, for some more great stars coming over. I know you work hard when you go out on the Americans coming over in particular.
Yeah, well, because I mean, I've said it 1,000 times before. The reason I go hard on the Americans is because as a kid and as a young guy, I never got to see those guys ride. They were only people in magazines. They were, you know, and they were these mythical figures to me. That's why I still am so drawn to those American-based riders.
Yeah, I know the Ricky Johnson. I know you're a big fan of Ricky, and you've had him on your VXDN show with Adam and whatever. But what was that like when you finally got notification and confirmation that he was coming that year?
Yeah,
did you open a nice bottle of red? What did you do? I mean,
no, I mean, I have a lot to thank Doug Duback for. He's my go-to guy because he's still within the industry and he's still very well connected there. So Doug does a lot of work behind the scenes for me, you know, in making phone calls and badgering people. And really, it was him that we have to thank for the final push that got Ricky over here. But yeah, I mean, you know, there's still a big shopping list to go of riders, but you know, whether we get them or not. And of course, we're all getting older. You know, every year we're all getting older, so it's getting harder to get the 1980s riders. That's pretty much, you know, it's pretty much done now because they're all, you know, pretty much late 50s, so they're pretty much done with the riding. And even the 90s riders, that was still 30 years ago. You know, to me, the 1990s seems like 5 years ago.
Dave, I mean, I came in last minute one year. You picked up the phone. I hadn't ridden for ages, and you drafted me in to replace Robbie Herring, who couldn't make it. Of course, I jumped at it, but that was before I realised the magnitude of what I was getting involved in.
They don't look about, do they?
No, I hadn't ridden for 4 or 5 years at that point, and it nearly finished me off. I had such an amazing weekend, coupled with talking, drinking, having a good time, but also the racing. Honestly, I drove the camper out on Sunday night. I got up to the junction. I got to those 2 roundabouts near Trowbridge, and I was falling asleep at the wheel. I literally slapped myself in the face. I was absolutely shattered. So like you said, with the likes of DT, all those guys, they might be good for a parade lap, but
absolutely.
We want more than that, don't we? We want to see the stars going at it.
Totally. You know, the guys like you know, Mike Brown, crikey, that man's an animal.
Yeah.
But you know, the new guys that I'm interested in other, like the Ryan Villapotos. We've already had Ivan Tedesco, you know, because he's still, you know, a relatively young guy. So that's the sort of generation of guy, you know, and next it'll be hopefully, you know, the guys like Tommy Searle.
Well, Dino, who we've just spoken to.
Look at Billy McKenzie. 4 or 5 years ago, I had to beg him to come to Farley. He'd never ridden a 500 before, and James Payton kindly let him a 500 Kawasaki. He loved the weekend, and now look at his social media. Every photo is a CR 500, him doing Summit. You know, they've discovered that, you know, that they enjoy riding those era bikes.
Yeah. And it's a big thing, isn't it? I mean, it's just growing all the time, the buying and selling of Evo bikes, which brings me nicely on to, actually, talk about this as well. You're also, as well as running a successful building company and doing what you're doing, you're also going to be doing this. What is it, like a jumble sale?
Yeah,
Tell us more about that.
An auto jumble in the
jumbo.
The centre of the universe, Wimborne, Dorset.
Of course.
But yeah, again, the lockdown thing. We've had normally we have 2 or 3 auto jumbles, bike jumbles to go to. Everybody likes, to have a wander around. I'm sure. Did you ever go to the one at Telford? I'm sure you.
No, I never got a chance.
You've never been there.
No, I was always. I nearly went up one time with Granty, but I had to go off to an event or do something. So yeah, I've never got to that.
Yeah. So
what date is that? Just
18th of July, but it's a camping weekend. We've
seen if it clashes. No, it doesn't clash with anything.
No way.
Not according to any major event that I can see on my calendar. So you picked a good weekend for that.
Yeah, 17th and 18th of July. We've rented a beautiful dead flat 10-acre paddock right next to the River Stour at Wimborne. Brilliant place if you want a bit of camping for the weekend, come on down. And then we got the jumble the next day and a bit of a bike show. No racing, nothing like that. Just but
it's just a nice place to stay. We're doing our pitch for Poole Borough Council now, but Poole is a lovely place to visit. You've got the sandbanks, got the beaches at Bournemouth, so it's well worth coming down and having a look around before the jumble. By the sound of it,
yeah, absolutely. But cheap camping.
Yeah, absolutely.
10 minutes from Poole.
Well, I will be now. I thought that might have clashed with something, but it didn't. So I'll be.
I got to congratulate you on your. I always said your man in a van thing was a brilliant concept, and I'm glad that the camper guy has actually seen the value of it. And I know he's loaning you that camper, isn't he? And obviously you're gonna pump that. But brilliant, well done.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks to Whole Shot for doing it as well. We've actually got the first one coming up on Wednesday, so keep an eye out for that. I got Lewis Hall sat in the van at Hawkstone, done a good with him, and hopefully I'll get some more over the next few weeks. So yeah, plenty of man in the vans. I'm going to be stretching that out as well, and maybe start getting some mechanics in there as well, because they've got some interesting stories to tell and on this show and whatever. So yeah, it's all going good. The only thing that's been grinding my gears, as with many, is just this madness of trying to choose which event you go to. And
how do you choose?
It's difficult for me. Obviously, I've agreed to be the commentator and do all the live stream for the MX National, so I'll definitely be at them. But I'm hoping to get as many of the other rounds in as possible. The Revo British Championship, go there. Obviously, some Bridgestones. I went to round 1. We're all in this together. Like we said, it's all together, and that's how it should be. We're not a big enough community to be pulling each other apart. We've got to make British motocross continuity and get it back together. It's not a big. It's making it sound like it's a big rally cry, or whatever. But in a way, it is. It's kind of reached, I think, a line in the sand this year, and it can't continue. It's got to be.
Well, I had that comment this morning that somebody said, "Oh, don't worry, the VMX is huge. You'll get more support spectators than the British Championship." Well, that's totally missing the point. I want Gareth's new series to be brilliant.
We all do. That's the point.
That's what I question. Why the date is just crazy. I want his series to be a huge success. I looked at where he's going, and it looks like a date thing from 15 years ago. A lot of old school tracks. I think I think he's got it totally right there.
Yeah, we need it to succeed. We all want it to succeed. That's the point. It's the British Championship, and as I said, it's just the way it's being done. There's some serious thinking needs to be done to just putting them against each other is just doing no favors at all for the riders, for the fans, and whatever. And like I said, I am not pointing fingers at anybody. You're not. It's just highlighting the issue.
Exactly. Just talking. I mean, look at for that one where Hawkstone and was it one in Northern Ireland that clashes?
Yeah. So again, I'm sure somebody will comment on this if I've got it wrong, because I've done this in a panic because the MX National dates just came out this afternoon, tonight even. But I think I've got that right. As it stands, 28th and 29th of August, the final round of the MX Nationals at Cusses Gorse clashes with the round 7 of the Revo ACU British Championship at Duns. So there's You've got pro. Like I said, we've got pro teams and riders doing both of those championships.
I'm guessing a lot of those teams do both.
Absolutely.
Of those. And it's not going to be rocket science, is it, to work out? If you're not doing very well by the time you come to the mid-season at Hawkstone, you're not going to be going all the way over to Northern Ireland.
No, you got that, and they're getting towards the end of the series. So listen, I don't know what's gone on to the degree, like you said, I only found out your predicament by what you posted on Sunday night. I don't know how many behind the scenes phone calls has been going on, but from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem like that the communication is where it should be with it all. That's all I'm highlighting with this.
I'm sure the questions were asked at the time, but were not no action was taken on them.
I know COVID has played its part in mixing it up, but that's where maybe compromises need to be made for this year. If it's a shortened season, then to do the championship rounds have to be as long as they normally are, to free up the space and maybe have a shorter series. I don't know. Adrian Squirrel's come back on and he's kind of highlighted what we're saying there, but as a fan, pretty much hit the nail on the head. We do want to support all MX events and we want decent media from them all and for people to get behind them and see them. But right now we're not getting that continuity, and all these date clashes aren't helping one bit. But with regards of your event, I keep calling it your event because as far as I know, you pretty much got it off the ground with obviously help from friends and whatnot. But it will still be a barnstormer. And I guess, what has it been? Right. We've missed it just for 1 year, haven't we? Two. God, COVID has messed my mind. I can't remember.
So 2009, 2009 was the first one, and we've missed 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ricky Johnson was at the last one.
Was he? Oh, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah. It was the last. Yeah, he was due to come back last year.
So what do you do? Have you come up with all these cool plans? You had all the road signs. What did you call that? There's like a totem pole.
The totem pole. That's just totally random shit. That's just like a load of timber cladding I had sat at home here for like nearly 20 years, and I was going to chuck it on the fire, and I thought, I know what I'd do with that.
Yeah.
But it's just little things like that. That took me a day to do, a day of my life. But that works on social media because people stand in front of it, point at it, and have their photo taken. That photo goes all around the world.
Yeah, and you got the VXDN sign up, like the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, exactly. Again, that was another, not a very expensive thing to make, but again, it's people when they go to these events, when they go to festivals. Yeah, I actually nicked it from that big festival up at
Glastonbury? Not Glastonbury.
No. Where's that one near Matterley? They're in that bowl.
Oh, the Boomtown.
The Boomtown one. I saw pictures of that. They had Boomtown written. I thought, that'd be cool if we could have. And we've only got 5 letters, so it'd be a lot cheaper. So yeah, that's been brilliant.
But that's what's making it great, isn't it? It's not okay. The Evo scene's different. I get that, but it's more than an event. It has a festival feel about it, and I think that's where we've kind of lost our way a little bit. The whole. It's all got a bit too serious across national competitions and even club races.
Yeah, that's the trouble with series, though, isn't it? Series, I always used to prefer one-off standalone events because they always had much more about them than a 5 or 6 round series that just got a bit sort of samey.
Yeah, we went the same way with that behind me. It's always looking back. I always get confused. One-off events. It seems to be the better way, and then you're not clashing or limiting the amount of clashes.
Absolutely, that hill climb. I must admit, you must have been reading my mind. I thought about that for years, but fair play to you for actually getting off your arse and doing it.
Well, come on. I mean, we're not there yet. You've created a monster. We're just starting out, but it's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
A hill climb, a proper hill climb would be massive.
Well,
make it a festival weekend, and that'll be a real.
If we can fit it in, we would in the calendar. No joke. But we are going to be getting a load of inquiries about people just with the run what you brung class. So there's going to be all varying of bikes there trying to get up the hill and rally them down. It's going to be carnage. So it should be good. And that doesn't. I know that clashes with something as well. But it's on the Saturday, so we're all right with that.
Okay.
So as it stands, then, Dave, just to put the record completely straight, we're running. The Vets Motocross Nation is returning. It's going to be on the 11th to 12th of September at Farley.
Correct.
Regs and regulations are basically all done and dusted.
It's finished. Yeah, it was finished over 12 months ago. So as a rider, there's no point in asking, because you won't get in, because it was already oversubscribed last year.
Right. Okay.
So everybody who's riding knows they're riding. The rider lists were published last week. So
okay, cool.
That's all done.
And at this point, as I said, is there any more information you can give us, or not really? You're just going to sort of drip feed it out, and we'll follow you on your channel, because obviously you and Adam do the show.
Yeah, no, I can't give you any more information on any like big names that are coming, because we're still under this COVID situation. So it's pointless me saying to you, this, that, and that is coming, because that could change. I in my mind I know who's coming, but it's pointless me saying at the moment.
Yeah. Well, exactly, particularly, and let's see if there are any more date changes. There might well be. I don't know if that's going to happen, because they've changed so many times, but who knows? It might need, they might review it after what you've said there and whatever. But who knows? You're cracking on regardless. So let's see if there are any more date changes. Remember, if you want to see all the visit the page, the Vets MXDN Nations page on Facebook. You got that going on. It's easy to find.
You should put all those dates you've put together. You should put them on your website or on Facebook, because that'll be the go-to place to find out.
Well, there it is. They're my scribbles.
Tonight I just tried to find out the dates, and it's bloody hard work. Yeah, and I would consider myself, somebody who's fairly in the know of what's going on.
Well, they're changing all the time, so hopefully they're right. But once everything is absolutely settled and in stone, well, at least we think we are. We'll put them up. So we'll probably put them up on Dirt Hub within the next 24 hours, and hope they don't change again. We've got the calendar on there anyway, so they should be all on there. We'll update them tomorrow, or tonight. So let's hope we get at it. Obviously, I'm excited to see the Vets MXDN Nations again. It's always just a great event to be at. It just is, bumping into all people.
Whose is the number 2 shirt, Jeff? I can't read the name on it.
Josh Coppins, Tommy Searle, Josh Coppins, Chad Reed, Ben Townley, Pastrana, Villapoto. I've got a few others that I will start swapping and changing soon to just mix up the backdrop. And I've just got a few of my crash helmets in the background. I'm going to give Lewis Hall an honourable mention, because he's given me his beat and battered. He didn't even bother cleaning it. That's seen some action. But so nice little studio made here in the office to do the show. So it's all good. Try my brother. I'll tell you a little story about the shirt collection very quickly. Most of these, not these, but the 90s generation, my brother Sean collected. But the worst thing was, he collected them when I was racing against these people. So what would happen is, I'd be in the pit box at a GP, intimidated enough, like, I'm racing. I want to try and beat these guys and not look at them as heroes. And my brother, who's my mechanic, would then just go over and strike the shirt deal in the bloody pit box just before I'm going racing. I said to him, "Do you have any idea how that makes me feel? I mean, I'm a bit, can you wait till the race is over before you ask them for their bloody shirt? Not as I'm about to race them. It's intimidating enough." Fair play. We've got a few shirts from the 90s and stuff as well. And
nice.
I was with Eastie last Tuesday up at Jake Nichols' place, having a blast around. I finally got on the bike for the first time after 4 or 5 years. God, he was still hauling. Yeah.
What was he riding?
He's on a modern 450, a new 450, and he was just like absolutely having it. So he's keeping his eye in. As I said to him, so all right for you. You've never stopped. I've got to try and get back into it now, but small steps, and then maybe 2022, Dave, I can get my entry. I'll get my entry in early and get back riding at Farley, because I'd like to do it again.
Yeah. Oh no, brilliant. No, I know when you were talking to Dean Wilson, you were talking about the AMA outdoors, how much you like the outdoors, like I do. But didn't you race it with Mark Eastwood one year? No,
I never did an AMA. What I did do.
You were there though, weren't you?
I raced an AMA, but not in the main race. I raced the industry race. So me and Doc Wobbs, when we were working for Moto, went on a road trip, proper coast to coast, and did 2 nationals. Wobbs, this is before Pro Circuit used to sell all their replica kit and bike and everything. Of course, Wobb's got it all set up that he had a Pro Circuit replica bike, got all the kit, the whole gubbins, which you couldn't buy at the time. And I rocked up at Steel City, got changed in the back of the Smith truck and went out in the industry race. And genuinely, a load of people thought I was Mitch's new signing. And they're like, who's the new Pro Circuit guy? And I went out and won the industry race, which was just an industry race. But I got to ride Steel City, and I also got to ride Glen Helen. And then another year, I raced Washougal. But to be fair, the Washougal one was a kind of bittersweet experience.
That's the one I remember seeing you at the photos. So did Wobbly ride?
No, Wobbly didn't ride, but he prepped a YZ 450, which was at the time an absolute animal. But it was an experience to Washougal, just an amazing circuit in the Pacific Northwest. Obviously, all up in those trees. But it turned sour when we went out the night before and ended up in a strip joint with Denny Stevenson. So I remember driving to the circuit in the morning. Denny was driving. He hadn't been asleep at all. I was in the back seat with my legs out of one window, trying to get my head out the other, like just in a bad way. And I remember going out to the start line thinking I hadn't walked the track right. But effectively, I was drunk. It was a bad deal. But after being sick in those famous whoops, I got my act together, and on the first lap, I was actually physically sick.
Oh, that must have been an amazing experience to ride one of those tracks.
It was amazing, albeit it took me a couple of laps to sober up. But you know, it was rock and roll times back in those days with Moto magazine and
yeah. I mean, that couldn't have been many years after you'd retired, was it? That must have been at least 15 years ago.
I think that was 2005. I think that we did that. We wrote about it in the magazine. So every so often I go back to the story and it jogs my memory of some great times me and Wobbs had doing that. But yeah, to ride some, so I've ridden a handful of AMA tracks actually on national weekend, but never in the main event.
Oh, yeah.
So
but Mark Eastwood didn't he, that year?
He got fed up with GPs and not earning money, and off he went.
Was it on a two-stroke?
Yeah, he stayed in Ohio, and worked out of Ohio near Fred Andrews. Worked out at Fred Andrews' place, got all his contingency money. Like racing, Honda would do local events, and actually he was ended up earning about the same he was earning for doing GPs. But obviously, Youthstream or whatever they were called at the time put the handbrake up on the money, and that's when Eastie and a lot of people went, "Well, we're out of here. We're not racing for no prize money." So yeah, good times. One day, we might even. Well, I'm going to get Wobbs on soon, and we can recite some of those stories. Some of them won't be able to do them all.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know, there's a few of those. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas type deals. That night with Denny was one of them, actually. So we'll leave that one there. But yeah, that's all good. So, Dave, I really appreciate you coming on. I really, really hope, obviously, that it all goes to plan again. And it's just great that the Vets MXDN Nations is coming back, because it was sorely missed last year.
It was a long year, wasn't
it? Yeah. But not just people that were racing it, people that go to watch it, the whole vibe, everything about it. So
yeah, I must admit though, I didn't miss it last year. I think I needed a year away from it.
I bet you did.
Man, that you know, like the 2 weeks after, I am on such a downer. It is a nightmare, and I didn't get that last year. So I but I'm ready for it again.
Good, you're recharged.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, good stuff. Well, look, nearer the time, once you've got more announcements or whatever, we'll maybe get you on again to just bring us up to speed to, who's riding and whatever. If you're unsure who Dave is, it's the first time you've seen him, just go and follow the guys on the Vets MXDN Nations Facebook page. You also do that live show similar to this with Adam, and you'll be getting some more guests on there, I'm sure. So yeah, just basically keep up the good work. I'm glad you're back on track, and we'll be seeing you there at Farley on, let's get this right, 11th and 12th of September. That's it. Categorically, it's been said by the man.
Right. Cheers, Jeff. Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening. Cheers, Dave.
All the best.
Thanks a lot. So there goes Dave. Right. We're going to quickly wrap up with a weekend wrap up. Let's do that. Basically, this is some of the things that happened over the weekend. Just like to do this. Hasn't got a proper name for it. We just call it the weekend wrap up. So talking of Evos, as we've just been about Farley, the UK Evo MX held the first round of their championship at Ford at the weekend. Great little track for two strokes and Evos. Nev Bradshaw, who's still at it, good old Nev. He loves the two-stroke. He won the Super Evo under 40s and the modern under 50 class. John May still ripping on that 125. Took the honours over his good mate Tom Church, and Jamie Scoose did the business in the Evo 250. So it looked really good there at Ford. Remember to follow the UK Evo series. It's well worth a watch. First 2 rounds of the British Mini Bike Championship was at Fat Cats. I'm going to show you some footage of that in a minute. Those mini bike races are mayhem. Awesome. Kieran Sembiat beating the reigning champion Blaine Blackwell in the pro class, with Mel Pocock and Chris Bayliss shared the farm bike class spoils. 2 very accomplished riders there. Joe Deacon won the Raw Enduro Rock and Oil Championship, the second round at Norwood. And Fraser Flockhart was victorious at Leighton Hall in 3 of the Edge Off-Road Moto National Cross Country Championship. So there's loads going on. Now we're back riding and racing. Loads. Net got their quad championship underway at Dean Moore. Ollie Sampson took 6 out of 6 wins there. Elliot Banks-Brown on his Oakleaf Honda was seen at the weekend at a racetrack for the first time. He's been off a bike or not been racing for well over a year. He took all the expert class wins at Blacksall at Woodbridge's meeting there, with Matt Pope winning the NGR championship class. And finally at Rogers Raceway, that's hard to say, Rogers Raceway Winter Enduro Championship down near Poole, Ricky Wiggins on the Crescent Yamaha. And Ricky, as I said, is our resident enduro rider. We're going to be doing a lot with him this year for a Dirt Hub. He took the win ahead of Brad King, Don Thomas and Todd Kellett coming out for an enduro. So that's what happened there with those guys. That's all that going on. I'm trying to cram in as much as I can. I hope there's still many of you watching. Now, for the first time, just to wrap this up, we are going to do a quick product review. We're going to bring a new segment to the show. We're going to start reviewing product, basically. Getting out, trying it, testing it, reviewing it here in the studio. So I'm going to play a little video, which I pre-recorded earlier. This is basically some information on one of our sponsors' products, Bell. And this is about the Moto 9, which is still very much, in circulation. We all know the Moto 10's on its way. But have a little watch of this. This is something I recorded earlier about all the tech information on the Moto 9 Flex. So let's just bring that up. It's just coming up. Got to wait for it to load.
Then, welcome to this new
That's
section
not it, is it? That's me.
Live show.
Oh, that is me.
This is going to be called Fresh Produce. Basically, we are going to introduce new products, review them the best we can, sat here in the studio or out on the track. And first and foremost, we're going to start with this, mainly because, of course, Bell are title sponsors of our Dirty Talk show. So what better product to begin with than the Bell Flex 9, Moto 9. So basically, let's run through this. This is, as you can see, it's all just plain white one. They come in various colors. This underneath this white spray paint is your 3K 2x2 carbon. So it's a carbon-based lid. All Moto 9 Flexes are made of carbon fiber, 2x2 carbon, which gives more strength and flexibility. Okay, so obviously the regular Moto 9 isn't made of carbon. This is your high-end Moto 9 lid. The shell sizes come in extra small and small. That's one shell effectively size. Then you've got medium large, and then you've got large and XL and 2XL. So 3 size shells, and then the sizing is done by the pads inside for each individual one. So you've got extra small pads, obviously medium, large, extra large, and 2XL. Talking of the pads, let's start with that. You can see inside the crash helmet here, these little arrows on it saying pull to be removed, because in case of emergency, if you had a big crash and you're lying on the floor, which you really don't want, of course, nobody wants to see that. But the paramedics or medical staff can then gently tug and remove these. These are basically the cheek pads, which are magnetic. You can see the 3 pins there. They're magnets that just stick to the hot side of the crash helmet. You see it clip back in, as simple as that. They are all washable, and they are all woven and antibacterial. You can see there up nice and close. So if you're a bit of a hummer, a bit lazy, which I know some of you are, can't be bothered to clean your helmet linings every week, You can leave them for a good while before they start to stink, but I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, you know, I'm not here to tell you about your personal hygiene, but come on, it's not hard to clean helmet pads. Then, of course, you've got this magnetic little thing here that clips on when you do the strap up. That's your regular double D strap. That's standard issue. Most crash helmets uses the double D because it's proven. It's been around the block. Probably still the best way to secure your crash helmet. So you've got that going on. Then, of course, you've got all removable pads inside of that as well. You've got this. So the straps come off to be cleaned as well. Then the inner liner, that pops out. I've already taken it out a little bit, so just easier removal. Again, these are all antibacterial. So really, really good. Now we're getting into the bones of the Moto 9 Flex. You can see in there, the inside, we got 3 different types. And also I've got to get my polys right, because there's all kinds of different polyurethanes and whatever. So we'll start best I can. You can see it. I don't know if you can move it around that way. Where am I? I'm over here then. No, over there. See the grey just there on the end of my finger there? Okay, that's your EPS. That's your high-speed impact. So that's polystyrene inside the carbon fibre shell. I'll move that out like that. The red, okay, that's called the EPPO. That is polyethylene. I've had to write these down. I'm not a bod. You know, I didn't study that hard at school to remember all my polys. So that is for basically for your low speed impacts. Okay, the red. So that's another lining on top of the polystyrene. Polystyrene. Then inside of that, okay, you got your EPP. That's your polypropylene, and that is in 6 segments. I don't know if you can see that in there. So that's, let's move that out. You've got 6 segments with gaps, so they move around, they flex, hence the name of the crash helmet, the Flex. I don't know if you can see that. You can see that moving. Probably not. I'm doing my best to try and show it in the light. And that kind of acts, so it moves around to fit your shape of your skull, because everybody's got a different shaped skull. But also, it's kind of similar, not the same, because the human body's evolved a lot, where you've got your fluid between your skull and your brain, to kind of, your brain moves around inside your skull a little bit of movement. This inner pad for the mid-speed impacts, the EPP, basically flexes, and so your head moves inside the crash helmet should you have a heavy impact or glide, you know, or brush something. So a real top-end lid. Obviously, it's been Bell's top-end lid now for quite a while. The Moto 10 is on its way. We all know that. We've all seen it. In AMA Supercross, worn by the likes of Eli Tomac. Cameron McAdoo has certainly crash tested it of late. We're going to be doing more reviews on the Moto 10 when it lands in the UK, which will be midsummer from what I'm told. We might even do a product review before that. But this is still the Moto 9, a very Flex, a very popular lid. As you can see here, you've got the adjustable, there we go, just screws. And then no fastener in the middle. So basically it's designed to move up and down. You've got a bit of movement there, but it won't go further than that, or won't go lower than that. It's got little plastic pegs in here that stop it doing it. On a heavy impact, those plastic pegs break off and the peak will basically come right back or right forward. So if you go into the ground head first and headbutt, it won't snatch your head back with the peak. So all unnecessarily venting, loads of vent system in the Flex 9, just an all-round great helmet. So basically, if you're really serious about protecting your noggin, and I'd like to think you would, you don't get many of them, and let's be honest, it controls your whole body. You don't want to be smashing yourself up. It's well worth investing in a top-end lid. Don't scrimp on crash helmets. And I've got to say, the Bell 9 Flex is right up there with the best of them in the market. But the Moto 10 is soon on its way with even more improved ventilation and safety features. So keep an eye out for that. That was our first product review on the Bell Moto 9. Thanks for those guys for getting behind the show. We're going to be product reviewing all kinds of things, from boots to bike equipment, going out on the track, product reviewing, testing, you name it, and dropping it in on the show or across all Dirt Hub platforms. So that's it. That's the first fresh produce in this new series. Hope you enjoyed it. Go get yourself one of these, and I'll catch up with you again soon. Cheers.
So there you go. That was something I've recorded earlier. We're going to be doing quite a lot of fresh project reviews throughout the year. So, but they won't necessarily always feature on the Dirty Talk show. We'll start putting them on the website. But that's we're going to start product reviewing and trying stuff out, particularly getting out to the track and crash testing stuff, probably, if I've got anything to do with it. To sign off, thanks for sticking to the end. Let's just finish off with on the social, a few little videos that I've seen on Instagram over the past couple of days. This, as I mentioned, I got to bring this up. This was brilliant. I talked about the mini bike championship. This is what mini bike racing is all about. I got this from Diamond Mini's page. Check it out. This was what went on at Fat Cat at the weekend. It's absolutely I absolutely love that. That had me in stitches, particularly when Jim Scrafton got that little love tap into the corner and went down. Jim, I'm sure you had a lot of fun, even though you hit the deck. Mini bike champs are well worth going and look at. A lot of fun had by a lot of riders, ex-riders now starting to do them, and that farm boy class is pretty awesome. So if you're ever in the vicinity and you see one of them, just go on their website, check where they're racing. It's well worth a watch if they're allowed to have spectators. And also the final little thing I saw, which I thought was pretty cool, was this on Nev Bradshaw's Instagram. It's not Nev, but he's got it from somewhere. And this had me in stitches as well. Going in hot. We've all done it into the first corner. I don't know if this guy's front brake was sticking or what, but needless to say, it didn't go quite according to plan. I think we've all been involved with a race like that, haven't we? Yeah. Well, he didn't have any problem where he didn't put any spray on his front brake. His front brake was definitely working with that one. Right, and that wraps it up. Hope you've enjoyed the show. It was great to get Dean Wilson on. He's been really busy, and I'm glad we came on. I know he was in the physio, and he couldn't stay for very long, but it was great to have him on. And also Dave King to talk about the Vets MXDN. As I've said, just want to highlight this whole show, not singling anybody out. Just like you guys watching, I'm fiercely passionate about the sport we do, and we should all be in it together. And I don't know what's going on. I'm not pointing fingers. People might think I am. I'm not. Just want going into next year. Can we just have it so, try to avoid date clashes and whatever. The powers that be all sit around a table and just make sure it doesn't happen again. And that's it. Dates might change. We'll try and get them out on Dirt Hub for you as they currently stand. Hopefully they'll be set in stone now, and that'll be it. And we just deal with the date clashes as and when they come. But until then, and next week's show, no idea I'm getting on next week or what we're doing, or even if we'll be doing a show next week. But sure enough, we'll let you know. And good luck to all the racers, Gareth and his team and everybody for the first round of the Revo British ACU Motocross Championship this weekend at Culham. Hope it all goes well. All you youth riders as well at riding. Weather's looking okay, so it should be a good one. And anybody else that's racing club championship, enduro, whatever you're doing, make sure it's a good weekend. Do what you love. Life's too short. You know the drill. And that's it. I'll see you soon for another Dirty Talk show. Thank you for your support. Remember to continue to follow us on our social media, and I'll catch up with you soon. All the best, everybody. Take care.